I've accepted it.
That you're a complainer?
Yeah.
Some people like to only focus on the negative, bad things in their life.
That's
Not
wrong.
me. Maybe I'm delusional, but I live my life pretty happy in my delusional bubble.
You think that's all I focus on?
No, I'm kidding. That's not all you focus on. I just think people's personalities are more adept to pick up on things. And I think that you're a realist, you know, and you don't live in La La Land. I think I live in La La Land sometimes. I'm very delusional. And it's not that you point out the negative, you're just more realistic. You're like, this is happening right now, and this is the reality of it. And maybe because I'm always living, I don't know if it would be abundance mindset, but I'm just always living in La La Land because I'm like, in a future somewhere, my life is already perfect. Or in a future somewhere, we're already rich. Or in a future somewhere, like, we're already happy. In a future somewhere, we don't have problems. But then again, I'm like, is that really realistic? I don't know. Only God knows.
You can't be.
Is there a life without problems? Let's get into it. Okay.
You can't be rich and not have problems. Like that's, what does Drake say? They say more money, more problems. More money, more problems. Even
I mean, this is about perception.
You know that's where he got that from. You know where he got that from?
No.
He got that from Biggie, B.I.G., Biggie Smalls. He got a song called More Money, More Problems. That's where he got it from. I seen this video on Twitter of Drake. It was like 5 minutes long. And it was in 2004, and he was doing a house tour driving his Acura up to his house. And it inspired me so much because it reminded me of our journey and my journey. And it was him in 2004 living in his mom's basement with his like house set up, got his bathroom, his kitchen, like his memorabilia. He was talking about for real how he was inspired by him and such. And then he showed us his grandmother, RIP to his grandmother because I think she passed, and his relationship. And he showed his mom, and he showed us a stack of notebooks. It was like 8 notebooks worth of lyrics he had been writing. And I'm just like, damn, like I understand Drake so much because of like I literally seen him where he started, like that Degrassi, and then like now to see all the stuff that he's going through now, it's like no matter how big you get, people are gonna use you to get to where they need to be, and that is the idea of perception.
Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Jasmine.
My name is Matthew Cohen, and I'm eating my leftover Chipotle.
And today we're going to be talking about perception versus reality. So we thought this was a good topic just because, like, I feel like, yes, we have grown so much on our entrepreneurship journey, but there's still so many things behind the scenes that I feel like a lot of people just don't see, and we're going to get into it in this episode. But as you guys know, we always go ahead and shout out somebody in our podcast at the beginning. So the Angie Torres on Instagram said on one of her reels, "This is so true. Stop changing your content strategy and be consistent." So she commented on our last reel where we were talking about how sometimes when you always change the goal, you can't really compare your results or your metrics to something because you're always constantly changing something. So how do you know if something actually works? And I think that even with today's episode, this kind of goes hand in hand because, you know, especially with perception versus reality, I think on social media, so many people see social media and they're like, oh, like that person is rich or that person is living the life. But again, that's the perception of it. And you can see something on social media and think like, oh, that person is rich or that person is famous or that person is balling or whatever. But again, if you're constantly changing your content based off what you're seeing other people are doing, then how are you ever going to grow even your own custom strategy for your social media? But let's get into it, you guys. So today we wanted to talk about pretty much social media versus real life. So I know something that we were kind of just talking about now was, you know, you said that you felt inspired by Drake's journey, but I think, are you a service-based entrepreneur that provides some kind of service, but you don't know how to create content in order to convert someone from following you into a paying client? I'm going to tell you exactly what to post in order to start generating more leads, attract high-paying clients, and get more DMs than you can possibly answer. I will help you how to find your niche, how to find your target audience, and craft offers that will attract top buyers every time you go to make a post. Text me content to 513-516-7332 to learn more on how you can get mentored by me for only $99 a month. Everybody has a different journey, and especially with social media, because social media is so accessible nowadays and anybody can post on social media nowadays. Anybody could create a podcast, anybody could just say they're an expert figure, and sometimes they're not, or they don't even know what they're talking about. Or sometimes you can see people on social media and you can think their life is perfect and it's not. And I know we have gotten, I don't even want to say comments, but just assumptions from people like several times that, you know, because we're on social media that we already have it figured out, or because we're social media coaches, we already have some kind of, you know, thing figured out in terms of our life, and that's not always the case. And the reason I'm saying this is because I know even my sister, even my family, sometimes are like, oh, you know, it's so easy for you, or they think that it's easy for us now, but they don't realize how much work we had to do in order to even get here, which is the reality. And we talk all the time about how we got to Arizona, but I don't think we've really gotten into like the nitty-gritty details of how when we got to Arizona, we literally had sometimes about $20 in our account, and we would be happy the day that we could afford a pizza because
that was our reward.
Yeah, we were literally just trying to get started again in another state.
Yeah, and we were just using whatever means necessary we could to fund our business. We knew our reality was that we had to keep going with our business. But the perception could be that we have been doing this flawlessly the whole entire time, but that's not true at all whatsoever. Like right now, it is a struggle. Like people don't realize that, but everybody is also struggling, which is unfortunately the reality.
Yeah, and I think especially with social media, something that I've learned is that for me, it's always been kind of like challenging to navigate sometimes when you're a social media coach and you're telling other people how to get clients, and they're like, oh, well, you can get clients so easily. Like, you know, why are you struggling within your business? And even though, yes, like we've learned how to get clients now, people don't realize there's still a process, there's still a timeline for things. So yes, we could create more content, we could take sales calls, we could reach out to clients, and we can get things working in the pipeline. But people don't realize like it still takes you sometimes even 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days to sign on those clients, and everything takes time and takes patience. So even with social media, that's why we always say, you know, social media is you just seeing people's pretty highlights, because yes, we might post all this value on social media, but sometimes that doesn't always mean that it's our reality. And again, it's like a tricky line with social media, but
we show what we want to show.
But yeah, and it just goes back to like you show what you want to show, but at the same time, you know, make sure you're being authentic with it. Because one thing that we have always done on social media is we've always been real with our audience. Like we always like share behind the scenes, us doing new hobbies, us doing new things, you know, even this
stuff
podcast
that we actually do on a day-to-day basis. Like,
yeah, even through this podcast, like we're sharing a lot of our struggles, a lot of our ups and downs. And I think for us, like it has been so important to be authentic and be real with you guys. So that way you guys can see, you know, if you're going to get into entrepreneurship, or if you're going to be a social media manager or strategist or even videographer or solopreneur or coach,
editor,
it's always going to be hard. Like it's not going to be easy. And so,
especially when you have any type of goal, the perception is that you can just obtain it, and people don't realize like when you go on a journey or a path to start something new, that's when stuff get the hardest. Like way harder than you just chilling. As soon as you like start going this way, it's immediately a struggle. And that's when people don't realize that a lot of people unfortunately like quit at that point. That's why there's a such thing as the top percenters and XYZ, which is the reality. Like there's not a lot of people actually successful with the stuff that they're doing. Even the people that you think that are on social media, like some of those guys are not. And success could mean perception, right? Perception is that success can mean different things to different people, right? But I'm gonna just stop right there because I don't want to be, you know.
And that kind of goes into like a different topic of is like, what does success mean to you? Because I think even with social media, I don't know who you guys are comparing yourselves to. Like, you can compare yourself to somebody else just because they might have more money, they have more freedom, they have more happiness. But even with social media, like we try to be super transparent about that. It's like, you know, in the beginning, yes, you're going to work a lot of hours. And sometimes even when you're on your 4th or 5th year, there might be some months where you're putting in so many hours. But then again, what is your metric of success? Do you want more freedom in your life? Do you want more money in your life? Because for some people, they enjoy working 60-hour weeks, but then they enjoy making more money at home to help their family. Or some people like working less hour weeks and they might make the same amount because they're in a different industry. So it just goes back to show with social media, there are so many different ways to do it, and there's not like one way that fits all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody's idea of happiness is different. Some people are content with not being happy, which is I don't know how I could never feel that way. I can never dim myself down to speed up somebody else's success, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, why would I do that? Like, it don't take me and you, especially me and you, it don't take us long for us to evolve, like as humans, and to get better with our skills. It don't take us. It give us a year and we ready, like onto the next thing. Like, why are we still doing the same stuff? Like, that's never, again, that perception versus reality. Like, people think it takes a super long. Of course, it takes a super long time to become successful, but in the terms of only 12 months, like that's not a lot of time. It's not at all. It goes by so quick when you are so fulfilled with what you're doing.
Yeah, and focused. Like, you know, something that we've always talked about since we started our podcast, or everything that we start in life, is we always try to have fun with it, because it's like, why would you start something and be miserable for it for years to come? I mean, there's like stages in your life where, yes, like you have to do something where you might not always enjoy it. Like I was in college for 4 years and sometimes I didn't always enjoy writing papers, but you know, I had to go through that in order for me to get to where I am today. And again, even with social media, you know, one of the things that it is like a different, I would call it like a different perception, is that, again, you would be surprised how many people doubt themselves. Like, that was one thing that I hear.
That's the reality. There's a lot of people that doubt themselves.
That's one thing that I hear all the time, that people are always telling me. They're like, oh, you're so good at public speaking. Like, you're so good at speaking in camera. But if you guys remember to like 4 years ago, remember I used to not even be able to say one sentence on camera. And I used to be like, oh, can you start it over? Can you start it over? Can you start it over?
On my Facebook memories today, and I'm gonna show you one of your organizations helping the world videos.
Yeah.
The ones you shot it with remember the green screen, and you replaced the green screen with something else?
Yeah, those were fun to make. But I don't know if anybody remembers when I was filming for my organizations helping the world. I mean, you remember because obviously you shot them, but I mean, my hair was a mess, my outfit was a mess, everything was a mess. I didn't even know what I was saying on camera. Everything was jumbled up. I didn't have a script. And I just literally showed up because I thought I was doing something good for my community. And it just goes to show that, like, yes, I had so much self-doubt and I was not confident in myself, but I learned it by going through experience and by going through up and downs. Yeah. And by learning to fail. And I think a lot of people are even scared to fail nowadays in front of social media. So it's like the reality of social media is like, yes, you can put all these pretty videos out there, and some people might look at them and they're like, oh, that girl is so confident on camera, or she's so pretty, or blah, blah, blah. But you don't even know the thoughts that they're telling themselves when the camera's not on, or when the camera is on and you guys are just not in the room. So it just goes to show that, again, Matt, I need your help growing my social media audience.
All right, guys, if you need help growing your social media audience, make sure you text 602-390-7002. Once again, it's 602-390-7002.
Don't always believe what you see online. And even when you're putting stuff out there, you know, as a content creator, like, yes, put it out there so people can see that you're real and you're authentic. but also show the downs so that way people can see like, hey, these are things that people are going to have to go through, or you're going to have to go through one day. And it also helps other people be able to relate with you, so that way they can see, like you said, hey, we're not alone in this. Everybody has stuff that they go through.
Yeah, like my post I posted, was that yesterday, my golf post? Did you read my golf post?
Yeah, that got a lot of engagement.
I failed. Like, I literally sucked that day. But I talked about how bad I sucked. But I had so much fun. Like, again, that's what I noticed when I was on the golf course, is that not every people's, when people fail, their true emotions come out. Right? And you see it immediately when you play, when you're out golfing, right? So if you don't have the patience or the mindset to be like, I failed, but all right, I got to do better next time, like, then you're going to have the worst time playing golf, because it's just so,
And not to say that we have it easier, but I think it just becomes easier when you stop getting in your head. Because, again, going back to perception versus reality, I think that a lot of people are just getting in their head because of the perception that people are going to judge you, or the perception that so many people are saying these things about you. But again, like we even started the conversation with, like, some people are more willing to be realistic and say, hey, like, this is what's going to happen, or they're going to point out like I guess what they call the negative things that are going to happen. And some people are like, well, look at the positive that could actually happen. So I think a lot of it also is how you're seeing it, or your perspective on it. Because yes, you could say like, oh, I don't want to post on social media, like, what are people going to say? But at the same time, some people are thinking, well, if I don't post on social media, how many people am I not helping? So at the same time, it's all perspective and how you look at things.
Absolutely.
But the next thing we wanted to get into was, again, perception and reality versus even relationships. Like, that's something that I wanted to include within this too, because it's not only on social media, but I think it goes to everything, right? Like, so many people kind of compare themselves to people who they see, whether it be famous people, whether it be other people's relationships, whether it be these influencers. And it just goes to show that you never know what's happening behind closed doors. And we've even met...
Reality.
Again, not to call anybody out, but plenty of couples where it's like, oh, you think their relationship looks perfect, and then behind closed doors, it's a totally different thing.
Total mess. And it's all over the country. It's not just in one specific spot.
Yeah.
It's all over the country. Like the perception is that they have a great and amazing relationship, and then behind closed doors, the reality is that they don't. And it can even be in business, relationships, like any type of reality, or just whatever we are witnessing right now. It's always two
sides of the
not
story.
Even that, it's like what really happened, and then how everybody's perception. So it's like multiple different realities at that.
Yeah, everybody has a different perception of things. And I think also, how do you deal with backlash when something looks so perfect on social media, and then people are like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And then in reality, it looks different.
Two things. So how you deal with it is, what type of person are you? Are you a negative person or a positive person? And is it true or is it not true? So it's those two things. Like, if you're a positive person and it's not true, you straight. You ain't even gonna trip. You ain't even gonna worry about it. Because there's some famous people that stay out of the limelight because they're very positive, and none of the shit that people be saying be true. Or you can be a negative person, right? And then the shit they saying is true. That's a double whammy. Because you're already a negative person, and then you're doing negative shit on top of your life. That shit is just gonna pile up. Or you can be a positive person, right? And then what happened was true. So you tend to be sad about it, don't really move on about it, or it's again, that's just perception, right?
Yeah, and I think especially with social media, there are some things that you were just gonna have to learn how to let go. And I think for me, like, not that I always wanted to people please, but for social media, it was always a little bit tricky because I knew the truth, and for some, like, for example, like sometimes people might comment some stuff, or like we get the most random comments, I feel like, on videos. And it's like, that's not true, and then you want to prove yourself. But at the same time, it's like, why are you proving to these people that don't even know you? So I think on social media,
I like the engagement. I actually prefer the negative or bad or weird comments, because that means somebody, you know how much you own somebody's brain for them to actually comment, because that's a lot of work and not a lot of people comment. So to be able to get positive or negative comments is actually really good. And again, I'm a positive person, so I'm looking at it as, oh damn, they actually took the time. They really care.
Yeah.
They really actually do care.
Well, and I think people who comment like that are also unhappy with themselves. And so that was something I had to learn.
Or they trolling.
And that's why I said with social media, you almost have to like learn to let it go. Because if you try to prove yourselves to every single person on the internet, you are never going to be done. Like, you're always going to be seeking that validation from someone. And so when it comes to social media, I just had to learn, like, if they're engaging, then they must really like you, and you're taking up space in their head, and just comment back or play along with it.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
If you try to prove yourself wrong, or try, like I've seen so many artists or just so many famous people that like try to go back and forth and they try to prove themselves right, and then they just dig themselves deeper in a hole. Because it's like, you should have just never responded, because that's what they want out of you. They want a reaction.
I would have my social media manager respond to every single comment. God bless you. Have an amazing day.
And that's it. Well, that was pretty much it for today's podcast. I wanted to go into the hot topic, but it's pretty much about the same thing we just talked about, just in a different aspect. So I think we're going to go ahead and end it there. If you guys want to hear more questions or topics on stuff that you guys want to hear from us, please let us know down in the comments, because we always like to hear your guys' feedback, your guys' comments, questions, or drop down below what topics would you guys like us to discuss in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Bring up Social Strategy Society.
So I did want to mention, if you guys did not know, we do have a private mentorship for coaches, solopreneurs, and people who want to be an entrepreneur. So if you guys are interested in becoming a coach, you want to be a solopreneur, you want to be an entrepreneur, and you have no idea how to create content, you have no idea how to start your LLC, you have no idea how to even turn your side hustle into a profitable business, then we highly encourage you guys to join Social Strategy Society. So it is a private monthly membership where you guys get 4 weekly calls from us. When you guys get 1 call a week from us, and then you guys also get private resources and then a private onboarding call, so we can walk you guys through your goals and how to achieve those goals within the next 90 days. So again, that is Social Strategy Society. It is only $99 a month, and you guys can go ahead and join by clicking the link below. And you guys can also be a part of our community, where you guys can network with other entrepreneurs and you guys can meet other like-minded individuals. So
you forgot the most important thing. We do calls on Wednesdays. That's the most important thing.
I said weekly calls.
Weekly, that's the most important thing though. I don't think she got as excited as me about the weekly calls.
Listening.
Because the weekly calls, you actually get on there and actually learn something. I'm not just there to motivate you to be like, rah, 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 we're gonna do this. No, we're gonna actually technically break down how we do. So every week we have a new topic, right? Mm-hmm. And we discuss that topic, but we actually break that topic down into actual technical steps that you can take in order to succeed your goals. Again, this is not a motivational thing. This is not a rah-rah thing. This is not a mindset thing. We're actually going to teach you how to technically get stuff done, right? Physically get stuff done so you can achieve your goals. Because that's the problem, right? We don't have somebody within a group that can hold us accountable for achieving those goals. And that's super duper important. That's the reason why we started this.
Yeah. And just to piggy off of that, correct. It's not just going to be hype. We're giving you guys a lot of strategies, a lot of homework every week, a lot of tasks. So this is not for people who just want to see what it's about or kind of just want to dip their toes. Like, this is for the people who are serious, who are committed, who want to get their business off the ground, who want to turn their side hustle into a business. And not only that, but actually learn and have that accountability, because I think a lot of the times, we just don't know when we don't know. And you need that proximity of getting to getting close to people who have already done it and who have already been to where you want to be. We've already had clients, so we want to give back to you guys and show you guys how we did it. Again, that is Social Strategy Society, and the link is down below. But that is it for today's podcast, you guys. We will see you guys in the next one. Again, we would love to hear from you guys, your topics, your questions, your concerns, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye, you guys.